afternoon, and konbanwa, wherever you are in the world. I am the idol to give you the wings to fly. Cyber Angel, Rita Kamishiro, Professor, Professor, Cyber Angel, Professor Rita Kamishiro, at your service. What's that one SpongeBob episode where he's like Mr. Dr. Professor Patrick? Hello. I am, Professor, Cyber, Angel, Idol, Trainee, Rita Kamishiro, at your service. Welcome in, Zudwa. Welcome in, Renee, Uncle Red, X-Grad, Lexington, Alexei, Jacob, Bio. Welcome in. How's it going? Hello, Duber, Altia, Advent, Cairo, Meridang, Octasteve. Welcome in. Hyper, Demon Warrior. Welcome in. Cute glasses. Thank you. I do need them to see sometimes. It's when I'm in extra focus mode. That's Mr. Dr. Professional Patrick to you. Yes, that's Cyber. That's Mrs. Cyber Angel Doctor. What's the difference between Miss and Mrs.? I've always just been Miss. If a little one addresses me, they're like, excuse me, Miss. I just go with that. Hello, Abby. Welcome in. How's it going? Hi. Welcome in. Oh, then Miss. Miss then. I've always wondered that. I figured Mrs. was like married and Miss was unmarried, but I feel like no one ever confirmed that with me. Miss Rita then. That's Miss... What is it? Professor, what was the joke? Miss Doctor, well, I don't think I'm a doctor. I'm a rhythm doctor. That's Miss Doctor Professor Rita Kamishiro, at your service. Miss M-I-S-S is unmarried. Mrs. is married. M-S dot. But isn't it just pronounced the same as Miss? I'm confused. Wait, yeah, what is... I thought Miss M-S dot was just M-I-S-S, but short. Ah. Okay, it's just like a short form. It's pronounced the same, but on paper it's different. What? I'm sorry, quick class tangent. So let's you know how there's like the rule where it's like if your professor doesn't show up 15 minutes after class, you can go home. I have until 15 minutes after the hour. So let me put that. Class officially begins 15 minutes after the hour. So we can have a little bit of creative, intellectual discussion about other things before then. Maybe we'll start a little bit before, maybe after, but it'll give some time for folks to come in a little bit late. That's okay, I understand. Such is life. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's an emergency rule. Well, this is an emergency. This is very important. You remember it being pronounced Miss and Mrs. This is the kind of classes you want in school. Did I tell you all I had a friend who had a class about like anime and she had to write an essay about what moe is? Isn't that such an interesting class? Okay, let's see. Difference. I spelled difference wrong. Difference between Miss and Miss. Spelled differently. Yeah, you all can use M-I-S-S for me. But what is M-S dot? Oh, any marital status. Oh, so it's like if you don't know. Oh. Miss Kamishiro is fine then. Ah, okay, then what? Okay. Is it the same way for like Mr.? Oh, it's also like an age thing, I guess. Miss is fine. Oh my goodness. It's an old time thing where the Misters would be the husband's name. Like that's John Doe. And oh, Mrs. Okay. And this Mrs. John Doe rather than using her own name. Ah, interesting. So with you, it's Miss Kamishiro. It's actually Miss Dr. Professor Kamishiro. It's French? It's a French origin. Okay, origin of Miss and Mr. Oh, okay. It's derived from Mr. and Mistress. Oh. Oh. Okay. It says the story goes that Mrs. MRS dot. But why is it Mrs. and not Mistress? Why don't we say Mistress anymore? Was a desirable title accorded to even older unmarried? Okay, let's see. Higher social rank as a courtesy. Interesting. I don't know. I have to look into that more. But wow, I got to briefly go through folks' comments. So I did read through all the comments. What am I saying briefly? I did go through all the comments and I read them. And today, for those who missed the first half, I'll do a quick little summary of the first half. But to kind of set expectations for class today while we wait for folks to pile in a little bit, is the first half was a little bit more of, I had my prepared materials, kind of went over those in depth, and at the very end, we kind of had a little bit more of a discussion. But since this is now Isekai class, Isekai lecture 102, we're not in the beginner 101 class anymore, I kind of wanted to do more discussion. It's going to be more of a discussion base. So I'll offer questions, and in the chat you all can offer your thoughts as well. Or I guess questions too. Questions, answers, things like that. Because I am actually not, for those who may not be aware, I'm actually not an Isekai expert. I don't know much about Isekai. I've seen a few classics, yes, but I can't say I'm an expert. But what I am an expert in is diving in and researching things that have really no purpose being discussed. But I think for me, I find it very intellectually stimulating, very fulfilling to be able to practice asking deep questions, asking, questions you don't really think about, thinking critically, and it's almost like a fun little exercise. And for those who don't know, this month's theme in my year of wellness is lifelong learning, and I feel like this is kind of part of that, right? I feel like I do this with a lot of media that I consume, whether it's, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Tears of the Kingdom, and now recently Xenoblade. It's really fun to be able to exercise your brain, because your brain is also a part of, your body. You gotta exercise it. If you don't exercise, if you don't use it, it's gonna go away. So don't lose your brain. You need it. I remember we learned there were 4 to 5 tiers of Isekai. Well, in one axis, we'll go over that a little bit. The goal of today is to discuss the second part of what an Isekai is. After playing Xenoblade, do you consider it Isekai? The thing is, I haven't finished it yet, so I can't say for certain. But I say no, it is not. Let me think about that. I'm trying to think of everything we've discussed. Because this has been a perfect time to go over the review. Let me go ahead and put up a little slideshow with a summary of last time for folks who couldn't make it to the other lecture. That's okay. What is an Isekai? We'll do a quick, nice little... so we are going to start class now. We didn't take the full 15 minutes, so your professor did arrive on time. Let's see here. Erase the note on the chalkboard to make sure that we don't come back to that note, because class has officially begun. So sit down in your seats, grab your snacks, grab your coffee, because we're going to work out our brain for the next 2 hours. You need a review. I missed the first one. It's okay. I also, your professor also needs to refresh her brain. Although, I feel like since I'm not really an expert in Isekai, I'm really more of an expert in discussing things that are really random. I feel like I'm more of a TA, kind of guiding, your thinking. Think about it that way. But yes, what is an Isekai? And for those who don't know, I also had you all fill out a poll last time to really pick your brain about what you think about other Isekai titles. I was thinking of bringing a guest teacher. I thought that would be fun. Yeah. Let's see here. That's not specifically what we're doing today. That's what we did last time. So last time I kind of gave my summary, some disclaimers, how I did my method. how we decided to divide it, and we talked about some specific questions, and we were able to talk about part 1. We haven't gotten the chance to finish talking about part 2, and I'd also love to create the chart. I don't know if we can do that today, but think about it. Let's work really hard, okay? Let's be very diligent today. Let's not get too distracted, but let's be diligent in our discussion today. Hopefully we can get to creating the chart. And John, thank you so much for celebrating your membership anniversary. I guess this is your tuition then, right? For today, it's your tuition. Isekai round 2, let's go, let's do it, yeah. Okay, so again, I think this is very applicable to today. So, we all know at the core of, at the end of the day, we know what an isekai is, right? Being transported to another world. That's not up for discussion. What I really wanted to kind of think about is the shades of what an isekai is, right? The various degrees of what an isekai is. Because there's a lot of shows that people think, oh, well, you think it's an isekai, but I don't think it's an isekai. And a lot of times people are like, oh, they have this sort of creative discussion about whether or not a show is an isekai. But now we can kind of see that there is a spectrum of isekai. So we can, say, hey, yeah, maybe you don't think it's an isekai because it's, a lesser degree of an isekai than maybe something like Konosuba, right? So we're going to answer some questions and put together a chart that kind of outlines this, I guess, this spectrum of isekai. And of course, as we're explaining things, as we're talking about things, maybe I won't use the exact verbiage of things. Maybe I use dimension when I actually mean realm, things like that. I'll give my definitions for how I use a word. So if technically the word is supposed to be this, you show a little bit of grace in there for the semantic errors. Do give your thoughts and opinions. This is an open discussion space, so as long as you're respectful to others, let's not go, don't take it too seriously. It's a fun discussion. No need to get angry or have any heated conversations in the chat, but do be thoughtful, creative, and share your thoughts. And like I said, don't take this too seriously. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an expert at isekai. We're just here to have fun. I'm not trying to change any minds or anything. We're just here to be silly and have fun today. Exactly. All that good stuff. And of course, the things that we discussed last time aren't set in stone. So if you want to change anything, that is also open as well. And I said that my goal was to create a sort of chart that outlines this spectrum. It maybe doesn't have to look like a chart. Maybe it's just one, line, 3 axes, whatever. Who knows what we'll end up with? You mean I'm not supposed to wag my finger at every word I disagree with the usage of? Man, oh my gosh. If we had to do that, we'd be here forever. We wouldn't be able to get to the chart, huh? So do exercise a little bit of grace in that area. So again, I last time I had the poll. I polled you all for how close of an isekai a title is. For those who don't know, this is the, I guess, the visual aid. So anything in green, or closer to green, then we kind of decided this is definitively an isekai. And then anything in red is a less of an isekai than the others, at least in a social sense, right? So for those who want to see what that looks like, these are the titles that are more green. Let's see, I can't really read it. So this is what I mean by green. So most people say yes, this is an isekai, and then for the ones that aren't really an isekai, this is what they look like. Sorry, the summary is going a little bit fast. I do want to spend more time on the discussion because that's the part I'm really excited about. So that is the poll. So you'll see throughout the the presentation, you'll see on this slide later how we've kind of laid things out and how they fit within their social definition. So again, what is an isekai? It is 2 parts. I guess as your professor, I kind of outline as the basis of our discussion. Isekai is 2 things: being transported, 1, to another world. 2. Those are your 2 aspects: transportation and another world. Dude, thank you so much for celebrating 3 months as Idol Coach. Yeah, you made it just in time for Isekai 201. We're just about to wrap up the summary of Isekai 101. So find your seat, get settled, grab a snack, get your notes out. This is, you are allowed to have open note. Laptops are allowed in class if you want to take Notes, no gaming. Just kidding. If it helps you focus, then that's fine. Or maybe you're playing a game about isekai. Oh my gosh. You're doing research. Who am I to stop you from doing research, right? Oh my goodness. Oh heck, I'm already playing. That's okay. You're doing research, right? Just another pest. You're just doing research. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So the part that we discussed last time, I think we discussed pretty definitively. Right. Of course we can go back and I guess we can start off by discussing any open-ended things that we have from the world. So, as a quick summary again of what we discussed last time, we categorized at least this axis, and I do want to highlight that because we did have a little bit of we had a couple of moments of pause when I had to clarify this when discussing one pillar of isekai. You kind of have to separate other aspects of that isekai because remember, in this definition, at least in our chart, how much of an isekai it is in combination of the two axes, right? So maybe if it's really high on the spectrum on one axis, maybe it's really, really low on another axis, right? Just because we're saying that a title is really, really high on the isekai spectrum, that on one axis doesn't necessarily mean we're saying it is definitively an isekai. Right? VTuber turns lecturer. I hope I'm doing a good job. Oh my gosh, if we could get this like peer reviewed and publicized, is that the word? That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Maybe we could have oh my gosh, maybe I should start doing like a series of PowerPoint nights and then we can publish all of the studies from my my PowerPoint presentations into a journal. Anyway, that is just my dream as a VTuber lecturer. Oh my gosh. Published! Oh my goodness. Thank you. But yes, so when discussing one aspect, you know, don't let the other aspect of it, because we were talking about world in one instance, and we brought up a specific show. I think it was Inuyasha actually. And we were just talking about the world aspect, right? Not specifically the transportation bit. So we wanted to talk about how different the two worlds were, and not focus too much on the transportation, right? But folks were kind of getting a little confused, like, oh, it's not an isekai because the transportation section does not count. But in that case, we were talking specifically about the world aspect. So when we are talking about one aspect of it, you know, try not to, you know, think about another aspect when we're trying to focus on one. Does that make sense? This is like a doctor thesis. Am I defending? Is this my thesis defense? I need to write a thesis. Oh my gosh. You're following so far? Okay. So, just something to put that out there just so we don't confuse ourselves. And Joe Star, welcome backstage once again as Idol Coach. Hope you have lots of fun. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know we got a little bit confused last time. So yeah, just we'll focus on one thing at a time. And then at the very end, we'll mesh the two together. And then we'll decide if it's an isekai or not. Sounds good? Okay. So, again, world. This was the thing that we discussed last time. Another world. Transported is the other thing that we'll talk about later. To another world. This is that second part. We arranged our spectrum of isekai on how separate, I guess, the two worlds are. And I use the terms dimension, universe, realm, state. Those are the 4 types. Anything that's just new time or place does not count. So it goes new dimension is type 1, closest to an isekai. Most isekai, I guess, that something can be on this spectrum. Then it's new universe, new realm, and new state. And I'll go a little again into that detail. As you can see here. Wait, let me just go into the specifics. So type 1. Differences in world types. Physical movement of the body between dimensions. So events in the old world did or will not happen in the new one. And we had a couple of comments talk about this one, so I'm going to go into a section at the very end when we kind of talk about that. So just keep that in mind. Interaction between the world is non-existent aside from the traveler's movement between the two. And Anton, thank you so much for celebrating 19 months as Idol Coach. Hope you have lots of fun. Let's see. Does Mortal Kombat count as an isekai? I don't know much about Mortal Kombat, but sneaky, let's go ahead and put a bookmark on that. And let's talk about that once we finish the review. Thank you for bringing that up. Or if maybe anyone in the chat wants to, if they know about Mortal Kombat, if they want to give their thoughts while I do my summary. Most detailed isekai thesis you've seen so far. I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that it's giving you all, you know, entertainment value. So that is to kind of give an example of what I mean by different dimension. Think of it as outside of a multiverse. And we did have a couple of folks in the comments argue, I mean this in the positive aspect right now, positively argue, very, very, you know, thoughtful comments, that multiverses don't count as isekai, but we'll go ahead and talk about that. So, you know, you are outside of a multiverse, you're moving outside of a multiverse. It's a completely separate plane of existence, which is different from type 2. This is physical movement of the body between worlds within a dimension. So events in the old world did or will not happen or have an effect in the new one, but there is the chance for rare and or indirect interaction between the worlds. So think parallel universes or alternate universes within a multiverse. And Carl, thank you so much for celebrating your 20 months as Idol Manager. I see we're having a lot of great discussion about Mortal Kombat. I'm briefly looking through it. Thank you for your thoughtful input. Oh. Interesting. Oh, I didn't know that Mortal Kombat's in an alternate dimension. Let's think about also later when we get into the transport subject. Let's think about that later too. Hello, Simon, welcome in. Hope work went well. Or is going well. Okay, and now let's talk about type 3 and type 4. Type 3 world difference, I guess. Physical movement of the body between realms within a world. So you're still within a world. The physical location is on the same planet or even same galaxy, right? Physical space, but a different area. So in that area may exist amongst other existing areas. Now I'll show you what I mean with some examples in a moment. And the interactions are very direct between the worlds. So you know how I said it's a different area that may exist amongst other existing worlds. What I mean by this is usually like spirit realms, because spirit realms technically inhibit kind of almost the same physical space, but at a different plane, I guess, on a different, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like a different sort of level of consciousness, but even more so into the physicality of the world. It's not even physicality or like consciousness. It's more like a different, like Bleach. Yeah, well, yeah, something like that. Right. So I would count in type 3 underworlds or spirit realms, non-parallel existence in a digital world, separate from a parallel existence in a digital world. And I'll explain what that means once I explain type 4. And then type 4 is the lowest level. I don't want to say lowest as in it's the worst, but lowest as in it's the furthest away from the core of what an isekai is. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let's see, for isekai from your favorite game, what is your opinion take about it? Oh, like Genshin? I don't know. I think it's an isekai, but a lot of people say it's not. At least in the world sense. Yes. But the thing is, we don't know anything about the world that Traveler came from. So I can't really say for sure. Or where that world is specifically. I'll have to look more into how they defined that separate world. Anyway, so this last type, movement between levels of consciousness, very direct interactions between worlds. So in this case, dream states and a parallel existence in a digital world. So the difference between a parallel and a non-parallel existence is, for example, what I gave as an example last time was, is it Enchanted? The movie where the Disney character, or like the princess character in the cartoons, goes from the digital world. I think she like literally leaves the television through some sort of like, I think she falls into a well and goes from the television into the real world. She doesn't have a second existence in the digital world, right? She doesn't exist there anymore, but she moved from the digital world into the real world. But that sort of digital realm still exists within the realm of, within the world that we live in. So she changed realms, right? Completely relocated from one realm to another. Whereas with something like Sword Art Online, which a couple of people brought up in the comments, you have your physical existence in the real world, but a part of your self, your consciousness, it goes into the virtual world. But your physical body is in unconscious in the real world. And actually, somebody brought up a good point. I'm going to point out Creamy Pie 626. I actually took a couple of notes on that one. So let me go ahead and pull up the comments from that one. Wave Master, thank you so much for celebrating your 20 months as Idol Coach. Will this be on the test? That is a great question. There is no test in this one. Maybe in the future we'll have a lecture that has a test. No, it's a participation grade. If you discuss and participate, that's all that matters. Like I said, Pi said something about I think this ends the summary though. No, it's not. So let me go ahead and check my notes here. Yeah, so Pi also mentioned that in terms of virtual realm, because we just talked about that, only the consciousness of a character is transported and the physical body is unconscious. So if, for example, another soul inhabits, this is just something for you all to think about. So I want you to kind of answer this question with each other, right? Kind of discuss. What happens if the body is possessed by another soul? Or what happens if both versions are conscious? So for example, let's say you had Sword Art Online, but instead of your body being unconscious in the real world, your physical body is conscious. Whether it's via another soul possessing it, or maybe you are still you in the physical world, but in the virtual world, a new, I guess, existence of yourself that is sentient, I guess, is moving around. Does that count as you being transported to a different world, or is that just you being duplicated? Which one is the real you? I feel like I watched a CGP Grey video about this, and it was about transporters in Star Trek. Anyway, so yeah, what happens if both versions are conscious? What happens if the body is possessed by another soul? Who's the real me exactly? Yeah, because Pi also mentioned worlds can be similar as long as each world is not a different version of the other and no one character is present in both worlds. What happens if you meet each other somehow? I don't know what happens. The world just disintegrates. But anyway, that is what we discussed last time, right? In terms of, I guess, world? And going into the transport discussion, we did have a couple of questions that we asked during the last stream that I want to bring up, because they might be important to today's discussion. So let me go ahead and pull those up. Here we go. From last time, I asked a couple of questions and you all responded. Is death, reincarnation, or rebirth a requirement for Isekai? 75% of us said no, so we can pretty easily say that it is not required. Is it no longer an Isekai if they find their way back home at any point? Most of us said, 65% of us said the Isekai portion must be a majority of the title, like the main focus of the story, whether or not they go home. Okay. Does there need to be a struggle to adjust in the new world? Right? Does it need to be easy, or like you need to learn the language, you need to learn the magic system? Most of us said no. Right? You could be overpowered. You could like maybe know everything. Maybe it's you get isekai'd into a game that you really like and you know everything about it. So no, 71% say no. we didn't quite discuss this yet, so maybe we can start off our discussion today with this. How different does the other world have to be? And last question was, what are forms of transportation? What forms of transportation between worlds is acceptable? Does it have to be unexpected or unwanted transportation? Does it have to be hard to repeat or reverse, if at all possible, to reverse? Bonus points if the transition is disorienting, though. That's true, because that's the thing. I feel like when I was considering what this spectrum would look like, right, this axis of isekai, because with the first axis it was pretty similar. It was pretty simple, is what I meant to say, right? Type 1, 2, 3, 4. But what if in this case we had like, because I don't think there's any. Are there any requirements for transportation in isekai? Because if we think about it, then the way we could do it is, for this axis, it's if they, I guess the minimum requirements, they have to meet their minimum requirements, and then depending on how many of the, I guess, points they have of like related to transportation, that increases their affinity for being on this axis, I guess. Like it moves them up. So let's say, I don't know what a requirement would be. So if you have any in your head in terms of transportation requirements in isekai, for it to be called an isekai, like if it does not have this, it's not an isekai. Let me know, and then anything in addition to that will be like a point, and depending on how many points you have, the higher up the axis you are. Does that make sense? The hard part is finding the point system and what is the bottom minimal. Exactly. But if you all think that's a good way to think about it, then we can start there. It's just hard to think about like how it would work as an axis, because we could also not do an axis, right? We could give words like a type, right? So for example, it's a transportation A, isekai, or it's a transportation type B isekai. Because alternatively, when I was brainstorming my thoughts on this, it was like this. The hard part is, what if they reincarnate as a complete blank slate and no more reference is made to their past life? Could it even be an isekai then? Like they forgot their past, or like are they a completely different person? Like reincarnated into a completely different person. Is that what you mean? For me, it's the earlier point made, the one saying that it's a new world where the majority is spent, where you can't return. Welcome to challenge, better than a Venn diagram. That's true. Reborn as another person, but they ended up in a different world, is what you're saying? I feel like it has to be the same person. Because then I feel like at that point it's just reincarnation. Because again, remember we said they don't have to die. But I think it has to be the same person. I feel like it might be easier to say what would disqualify type of transportation is isekai. We know it can't be a conventional form of transportation through space-time as we know it. Remember, we spent a lot of time on this conversation. What is conventional forms of transportation versus unconventional? I think I saw a note about that in the comments. Let me go look for it. Because Pi also brought up, as part of their essay, 5 points as to consider when thinking of an isekai. It's world, method of transport, logic, law of nature, and storytelling. And if you want to learn more about that, you can read Pi's essay in the last comment section. But I feel like you can combine a lot of those just for like simplicity's sake. But we're not trying to be simple, right? So if it's easier to explain things out by making it more complicated. I know, it doesn't seem intuitive, but if we need to make it more complicated to make it easier, then we might have to do that. I think an author can come up with a way to make it seem like the method of transportation is trivial to, say, a main character, but impossible to anyone else and still have it be an isekai. We did talk about that. So one of the things that we talked about was in discussing what it means to be conventional. Conventional would be portals, magical events, reborn. Really, because I was thinking we would talk like we say conventional in the eyes of the populace of the world, right? So for some series, something that might be considered unconventional might be considered conventional in another one, right? So I think one thing we talked about as a possibility is it's unconventional if a majority of the populace, thank you for the heart reacts, I just saw them. I feel like they're fueling my brain. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. It's, for example, so like let's say it's unconventional in terms of us, like how we would think it, us as people in our world. But let's say we watch a series that is about like science, pseudoscience, right? So maybe a pseudoscience that is, you know, unconventional for us would be conventional for them. Like, oh, everyone transports by, you know, by VR equipment. You know what I mean? So I think unconventional will be anything that's not. Sorry, I'm seeing it's like I feel like the heart reacts in the chat or is similar. I feel like that's how teachers feel when they get like an apple on their desk or something. I would define conventional as what can currently be imagined by science, whether we can actually build it or not. Right. So I think, yeah, exactly, Lexington. Like, what is within that series' realm of science? It's the attentive nodding student effect. Yeah! No, it's great. I love... I might not be able to read everyone's conversations, but I'm glad that you all are able to, like, discuss with each other. And I'm taking, you know, I'm nitpicking from... Not nitpicking, but I'm just grabbing what I can. Yeah, the context of the story matters. Exactly. For example, we might be able to build 2 wormholes, keep one near a black hole, and then you'd have a portal that transport you across time and space. But the thing is, that's space travel. Oh no, but remember, we're not discussing world right now. We're discussing method of transportation. See how I caught myself there? It sounds fanciful, but we have the map to conceptualize it so conventional. Oh, you're saying... Okay, you're saying even if it sounds fanciful to us, we can, since it's something we can conceptualize, it's conventional. What do you all think? I want your opinions. I'm gonna do a poll. Oopsie daisy. What is unconventional? What is unconventional? Not understood, common, not common. Right, you understood me perfectly? Okay, good. My reading comprehension's okay. Not common to populace in... Okay, you know what? Let's do it like this. I can't fit it all. Okay, let's do it like this. I'll still put a poll. You all are gonna have to forgive my slow writing. Here we go. What is unconventional transport? Because I feel like one of the conversations that we had was whether or not you can go back and forth easily, but I feel like that kind of goes... that blends into the whole conversation about conventional versus unconventional, right? Because if it's something that's well understood by the majority of people, that's conventional. Yeah, exactly, Matt. If everyone can magically hop world at will, that would be conventional in the context of that particular story. Yes, that's correct. Because I feel like one thing we can say for sure is that... Let me see. Let me go back. It's a strong suggestion for isekai, but not required for isekai. Okay. Yes, it's strongly suggested, but not required, but I can't remember which part of the question we were answering. Was it the hard to repeat or reverse? Are there sci-fi isekais? I think so. I'm trying to think. Well, because the thing is, we included Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Well, I don't know, would you count that as science? I think, what was it? Hold on. Across the Spider-Verse, I feel like is closer to science because, like, the dimension jumping wristwatches, those are like science. At least a pseudoscience to us, but... Because it's not common for the populace, it was only like a small group of people that had access to it. But I would consider that like a sci-fi, at least pseudoscience. If you want to split hairs, you can define any series with travel to other planets as some flavor of isekai. But remember, the thing is, we didn't include that. That's not, at least on the axis of world. We didn't count space travel as isekai. Right? No, it's type 3. Because Zathura is under type 3. Ease of use is points for conventional. Commonplace is conventional. If only... we could do points. Oh. If only one person could do it, but that person could do it at the drop of a hat, then it's harder to decide. Oh. Maybe like an interdimensional machine that gets damaged, resulting in someone getting stranded. Maybe, let's do it like this. What if we listed methods of transport that we consider... This is what I did for the first half when I was, doing research on my own. What if we listed various types of transportation and whether it's a yes or no? In terms of, is it isekai transport? And then from there, we can kind of pick out the shared, I guess, traits. Does that make sense? What do you think? We can pick out the shared traits, and then maybe we can glean some information from there. Let's do that. Okay, let's list some. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Gosh. Because the thing is, the first thing I think of course, getting run over a truck and being transported. So, I'm gonna say unknown magics as one of them because there are some common isekai where they don't know how they truck could. Let's do that. The classic truck-kun. And that's kind of under like the magics. I think we have the whole unknown magics sort of umbrella, right? Unknown. Because in some worlds you don't know unknown magics. And I think well, hold on. Let me do it like this. Okay. Wait, is isekai oh my gosh, I can't spell. I spelled is with 2 I's. Is isekai transport versus, oh my gosh, I cannot write. Versus, there we go. That's, oh, nope, that's still bad. Versus, okay, not isekai transport. This is so fun. Are you having fun? I know I'm getting really focused, but I think this is really fun. Yeah, magics of the unknown origin. So, magics... I'm gonna say magics. Because sometimes it is known, sometimes it's unknown. I think Truck-kun is definitely underneath that umbrella. I love seeing my very, thoughtful and attentive students. This is so great. So there we go, Truck-kun. Unknown magics. I think we can classify that as magical. It's also a big cliche for a god or third party to deliberately transport them. So let's do godly placement. Pluck them from one world and put them in another. By whatever godly means. Though they aren't always understood or seen, they're usually known. Yeah, so I think, whether it's unknown magics or it's a godly placement, I think that still falls under isekai transport. Yeah, being summoned, exactly. Godly summoned. Let's do that. That's a much better. Thank you. Thank you, my students. See, you all are so smart. I love chatting with you all. You all are so fun. Godly summons. Perfect. Beautiful. But with Truck-kun, you die. That's a bit different from a coma or hitting your head. So the Truck-kun is death. I think is what we're trying to say. So again, you don't have to die for it to be considered isekai transport, but death. I'm thinking, hold on. Death and reincarnation as the same person, right? Because I think somebody brought up a great point about what if you reincarnate into a completely different person. Divine intervention. There you go, exactly. This godly summons. Divine intervention. Isn't Truck-kun death? Because they die in the... don't they die in their previous world and then they... Well, I guess we can separate that. I think Truck-kun is like a subset of death. Because sometimes, like, they'll just die. like in a battle or by other means. Death. Truck-kun is more known for killing the main character to get to the other world. Yeah, so it's a subset of death. So exactly. So great point, Renz. So in ReZero, Subaru just appeared. So that's precisely why I put unknown. Because we don't know if it was a godly summons, if it was some other sort of death. He just blinks, exactly. So that I've had it fall under unknown. We just know it's not a typical, easy to, recreate sort of thing. But remember, it's these sorts of things are not replicable. So now we've kind of talked about the really common ones, right? We talked about we talked about Konosuba, ReZero. Let's talk about some other ones. How in Devil is a Part-Timer, I'm trying to remember because those is it Ente Isla? Is that where they came from? It's been a while since I've seen Devil as a Part-Timer. How did they open that rift between a portal? Who opened it and how did they open it? Because see, now the thing is, if those portals are easily, so via their own magic, sure, but remember, in Ente Isla, magic, I'm assuming, is a very common thing, right? So is it a portal that can be easily recreated, or was it a portal that was like, I have to use all of my power, and it's so hard to create something like this. You have to be super, super strong, and you have to really, really focus and use up all your energy. Used up his own power. So it is pretty drastic, right? It's not just like, oh yeah, this is an everyday spell I use all the time. It's a pretty drastic sort of measure, right? They need lots of magic on Earth, but in their world, magic is in the air. Yeah. If I remember correctly, it was that it's easily recreated, but on Earth, there's not nearly enough magic energy to cast even small spells. Whoa. Okay, so they're able to easily jump to other worlds via their magic, but they can't go back because the other world, he lost his access to that. Okay, gotcha. He lost access to that magic. Oh, okay, create the portal with relative ease, but upon entering our world, he lost access to that magic. So would you consider that isekai? Well, I mean, because again, remember, just because Devil is a Part-Timer made it high on the high axis on the other, made it pretty high on the other axis, doesn't mean it will on this. So, barring our thoughts on whether or not it's an isekai in the aspect of its world differences, do we count that sort of portal to be isekai transport or no? Yeah, because in a way it was a one-way trip. But remember, does it have to be a one-way trip to be an isekai? I think we decided no, right? It's strongly suggested is what we said. No, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, okay. That's why the interdimensional equivalent to a survival situation trying to make it back to civilization. Also, other side can... other side character can go to the other world too, not totally exclusive. Okay. Not having enough magic sounds like a logistical problem, which is a bit mundane. That's like being stuck because your car ran out of gas. That's true. You have to think about it in their sort of lens. Does it need to be one way? Okay. He actually had the potential to go back to his other world, but chose not to. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm trying to form my thoughts on how we want to... Oh. Yeah. See, now I'm thinking. Because I am trying to think of it in that sort of reverse isekai sense, going from like a magical world into a non-magical world. Because what is considered... Is the transport... We're considering the transport if it's conventional in the originating world. Right? Do you count restaurant to another world as an isekai? They can just walk through the restaurant door to reach Earth and go back when they're done with their meal. That is something that we discussed, right? But it's not everyday magic that everyone uses. Right, because it's just because they were really strong. Is that what you're saying? Like, only a few people have access to that magic. So maybe magic's not accessible by everyone. What if you're an interdimensional traveler who got stuck on Earth because we don't have unobtainium to power your device? Oh my goodness. Oh, true. Unobtainium, that's Avatar, right? Hold on. Unobtainium. Yeah, Avatar, okay. Gotcha. Wow, unobtainium. Then I guess you'd be stuck in another world. Yeah, exactly. I feel like just because it's... Well, the thing is, we talked about if it's not accessible by everyone. So, like, yeah, let's say, like, everyone can travel... Like, let's say everyone can do portal travel to different universes. Like, you know, pretty regularly. I don't know. Maybe science has advanced so far that everyone can interdimensionally travel. But you're a silly little goose and you left your interdimensional travel batteries, your spare batteries at home. You know what I mean? And you're kind of just stuck. But I feel like in that sense, you wouldn't... There would be some sort of, like, extra way you could go back. It's kind of like going into space. It's achievable, but hardly anyone actually makes it to space. So then I guess we could say, like, strong magics. Like, extra strong magic. Magic specifically to... Magic not available to normal folk. Strong magic... Strong magic not accessible to normal magic users. That's in considering, you know, whether or not... I'm trying to think, because remember how we did... Remember how there's like a bread chart? Or a sandwich chart. Sandwich alignment chart. Yeah, it's like ingredient purist, ingredient neutral, ingredient rebel. Because we could also, again, it doesn't have to be a spectrum axis. It could just be like 3 sort of like yes, maybe no, or something like that. Or like, it's a... Because I'm thinking. My phone lets me travel across worlds, but I forgot to bring my charger. Isn't that right? There's one like that, right? Where like, oh gosh, I think I heard like a video essay or like someone was doing a summary of like seasonal anime and they summarized that one. It's like an anime where it's in another world with my smartphone, right? He like goes to another... Oh yeah, stuck in another world with my smartphone. He like goes to another world and... Somehow his phone still works. I just made that up based on what you said about forgetting batteries. That's actually hilarious that there's so many, like, specific, like, very specific, oddly specific isekai that if you just bunch together a bunch of random nouns and adjectives, you'll land pretty close to an actually existing isekai. You know what I mean? Like I know you just made that up, but that's a real, that's pretty close to a real isekai. Mm-hmm. Oh, his smartphone was given OP abilities. I see. Apparently his phone has infinite energy because it functions without charging ever once he's in that new world. Man, I wish I had a phone that could just function without charging. A solar-powered phone. Didn't know that was a real thing either. I was watching like I watched like anime recaps. Not recaps, but like seasonal summaries of shows. That was one that stuck out because I was like, that's really convenient. Because I think he just like searches like tutorials. Because is it that he's transported into his favorite game? And then he like happens to know everything about, or if he doesn't know something about it, he can just search up the Wikipedia article. Could you imagine I get isekai'd into like the Genshin universe and I just happen to know everything that happened, or I could search stuff up? Oh my gosh, I could like enroll in the academia and I could immediately become like a history professor or something. I don't know. Just look up farming routes. Oh my gosh, I could be the richest merchant in Tibet. It's the same for No Game No Life, the way they just instinctively grabbed solar-powered chargers for all of their devices, which they had no reason to own. Oh my gosh. Funny enough about the smartphone one, the god of that world gave him OP powers because he accidentally killed him in his original world, so he was like, so sorry you died. Here's a phone that never turns off. But he also has like a Wi-Fi connection? Can he talk to like his loved ones in the other world? You would have been hired as a teacher in Tibet? Oh my gosh. Genshin is an isekai, isn't it? I consider it an isekai. Yes. Rita sure will have an amazing career in academia after this. I sure hope so. There's also categories of different worlds. True, but that was the first part of this conversation. So we're currently on the transport conversation. Okay. Back to it. I need a brain break. I already need a brain break. We're only 1 hour in. And I already need a brain break. And I also need to get out of that like that mindset of like trying to find an end answer. Because I feel like some parts of academia is just thinking, right? Is the practice of thinking. Like maybe not necessarily having a deliverable at the end or having a end product. But sometimes, you know, there's value in just the thinking that you're doing itself, right? Mm-hmm. But I would like to kind of further the conversation. This is intense, but I feel like it's a good brain exercise, right? At least I think so. Let's take another minute or so. Let's maybe 2 minutes. We'll resume at the top of the hour for another hour. Because if I go longer than 2 hours, my brain's gonna be fried, and I'm sure, as my students, your brains will be fried as well. When we get back from the break, we have 1 minute left. Let's think about what isn't considered isekai transport. Yeah. Professor Rita has hot takes on isekai tropes. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Isekai existed before it got named isekai, and the genre will continue far into the future. Exactly! At Alice in Wonderland. Kitsura says VR MMO doesn't count. Okay, we'll put that. And I know that's a little bit contentious because in our previous conversation we talked about how, at least in the world aspect, we would count Sword Art Online on the lowest tier. But remember, just because it's low on one tier doesn't mean it's, or high or low, or it counts on one tier or it doesn't mean there's not a sort of that connection on the other axis. So what do you all think? Because I think there's other, like Bofuri, I wouldn't consider that isekai. Let's see. These are I had my notes from the, oh yeah, these are my notes from the comments. I took a couple of pages of notes, but let's see. Let's let's see. What about VR MMO? What about VR MMO makes it? See, it's a little bit difficult because that blends really closely into the whole like world conversation. Because when in terms of type 4, the lowest form of isekai world difference, right? The delta, right? So isekai has to be real transportation to count. What is real transportation? So exactly, I was saying Bofuri is not isekai. Agreed, Bofuri is just a VR MMO. Good point, just a VR MMO. Whereas Sword Art Online's isekai traits depend on the inability to escape and the blend of reality and fantasy. It is! Bofuri is a very adorable show. I watched a couple of episodes. The Alpha and Delta world. So what I mean by the Delta is the difference between the two worlds, right? And kind of like the person, the physical person themselves. I mean physical transportation. Right, so if you didn't catch the two axes that we're talking about, it's transportation and world. So we have two separate sort of conversations. You can check the last VOD to kind of see what we mean, but that's a great question because remember the lowest form of world delta, right? The differences between world is movement between levels of consciousness. Whether it's dream states, parallel existences in a digital world. And the key point there that a couple of folks did point out as kind of like it says the consciousness is transported, but the physical body that's in the original world is unconscious. So there's only one version of that person that exists at any given time. Does that make sense? But I guess what differentiates, because in Bofuri are you conscious in the other state of consciousness? Hold on, I'm looking. Because I feel like what differentiates the two, right? What makes one more of an isekai than the other, that's not to say SAO is definitively as an isekai or not. Some would say it would be, some say it's not. But the key difference between those two is how easily you can move between the two. And I feel like that should be a very important part on whether or not it is isekai transport or not. Because I feel like with Bofuri, correct me if I'm wrong, VR MMO is a lot more... this is a conversation we had last time. How accessible is VR MMO in that world? Like, is it a very new technology that not a lot of people have access to? Like, is it new tech that's still a little bit not understood? Or is it like everyone has one in their house? Everyone does VR MMO on a daily basis. You know, you leave and come back. You know, there's not really a way to... Because if... Because we had this conversation about the different seasons of SAO. Because a lot of people are saying it's more of an isekai in the first season. And then for later seasons, it's not. What do you think about that? A lot of people play it in Bofuri, same as playing video games. Now Bofuri is more playing a game, unlike SAO surviving in another world. Right, exactly. Anyone can play it since enough people for the mods to work overtime. I wonder, does the fact that the players can leave the game whenever they want after season 1 make SAO less of an isekai? Great, exactly. Yup, we were thinking the same thing. You're right on the money. Sig, thank you so much for the 10 gifted. Oh my goodness. No, thank you for the tuition grant. I think SAO loses isekai status when they start Alfheim and Gun Gale. I see. Do you all agree with that? Okay, let's see. Can we agree that if it's something like technology? Maybe we could talk about technology. So, is isekai transport... Let's talk about science, right? Science or technology. I think Log Horizon and Overlord or isekai. I don't know too much about Log Horizon, but Overlord he's in a video game, right? And it's a video game he really likes, and like the servers were about to go offline, and he was like, "Yeah, let's stay online until the servers shut down." And he was expecting to like not be in the world anymore, but he ended up staying. Is that right? Yes. Okay. If Bofuri was the same except the main character was stuck in that world somehow, would you classify that as an isekai? If Bofuri was the same except the main character was stuck in that world somehow, I would. But the thing is, what if it's... Yes. I'm thinking. The fact that they're stuck and can die makes it real. Dying matters in this. I think in Bofuri you can die and it doesn't matter. Oh. I'm trying to think. Because I feel like some topics that are popping up a lot, right, is in terms of transport, right? Because I feel like transport is just, this is a tougher one because transport has more layers to it, I feel, like an onion. I don't know why I said that. In terms of world differences, we could kind of, you know, pretty easily create this sort of what type 1, 2, 3, 4, and increasingly say this is more or less of an isekai. But I feel like transport has a couple of layers. So it's like the means, right, by which they transport. There's also, you know, replicability, or I guess repeatability. I don't know how else to say this, but the vector, like, can you only go one way? Can you go both ways? I'm thinking. Because I feel like it means, in the means aspect, it's conventional. Okay, I have a proposition. Yes, we finished break already. Great question. I have a proposition. Let's say we have the 3 things in transport. You have the means, the repeatability, and the vector. And then depending on, like, if they have the proper means and the proper repeatability, but not the proper vector, then, like, how... Maybe we can rank these 3 aspects on how important they are. Right? Because maybe the least important to isekai is the vector, like whether or not they can go back. Or easily. Or maybe repeatability is the... I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm reading. Sorry. If you hear me go quiet, it's because I'm reading what you all have to say. Okay. Definitely a lot of ways to be transported, as many doors and forms. You can actually die in SAO and you can't leave then. That makes the threats in the world real for the people. Okay. After years being there, is an SAO the real world to them? Ooh, good point. And side characters often duck out for the plot for breaks due to the... Oh, yeah, wait, hold on. I missed your first message. I think they could not die and simply respawn while trapped without it breaking the isekai-ness of it. The difference with Bofuri is that at no point they're fixed to that world. Okay. Okay. There's this K-pop song where it goes dun 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 okay dun, dun, okay. So I was thinking about that. Anyway, I am hungry. I feel like all of this thinking made me really hungry, but I want to at least get to the end of our 2-hour lecture. Though that could discount isekai where resurrection magic exists. Can you elaborate on that? Oh, from when that one point that someone was making about, like, dying and respawning. Is that what you mean? Anti-isekai is a great way to describe it. Oh, let me see. The Matrix is interesting. The MC starts off believing he lived in the real world, but the actual world is revealed to be dead. Oh, yeah, that's right, huh? Hard to count that as isekai, especially when the reveal is so early. Oh, exactly that. Oh, I see. Resurrection magic. I'm thinking. So what is the point of like contention here? Like, what are we not confused? What are we debating on in terms of like this affixation to a specific world? Does familiar of zero count as an isekai? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not familiar with familiar of zero. Welcome in, Shadow. Welcome in. I think the Matrix is more like an inverse isekai rather than a reverse isekai. What does that even mean? With that, I'm sorry. Conversations about inverse isekai, reverse isekai, that's gonna be in 301. We're still in 201. What was I saying? Anyway, transport. Some of the three major themes or topics that we were talking about in terms of how we move between worlds, right? The transportation aspect is the means, like what sort of technology, like what caused this move, right? Is it some sort of like machine? Was it a godly summons? Was some unknown magic? The route. Yeah, see, the route, exactly. The route that sends them. And then the repeatability is another thing that we talked about in terms of transport. Is it, how can you go back and forth? Oh, I guess vector falls under repeatability, but the thing is that I feel like vector is a little separate from repeatability, because vector is there a way back or not? Whereas repeatability is it easy or not? If there is that back and forth vector, is it easy or not? Or how frequently do you make that trip? I guess that goes hand in hand. Sorry if I ended up diverting from a previous conversation. No, you're good. I'm just trying to keep up with my intelligent students here. My goodness. Exactly, ease of transport between the worlds. Because I feel like in terms of repeatability and vector, I'm gonna kind of create some space on the board here. Excuse me. There we go. It is hard to not go on a tangent with this. You know what I mean? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so what I mean by how vector and repeatability are similar, I guess this is their own sort of like spectrum, and maybe we can go off of this, is I feel like the most dire, right, is No Way Home. Right? I feel like we can definitively say that anything in an isekai where you can't go home is like an isekai. Another one, in terms of repeatability, is there is a way home, but it's tough. And can't repeat. And then there's like a way home, and it's easy to repeat. Okay, I'm reading some messages. If arguments ensue from having no knowledge, then writing it down would be brain frying. Wait, what? wait, hold on, let me go up. I need to make sure I'm caught up. Science without magical or divine influence is kind of stuck in the lower isekai rankings. It almost always offers the person to return to their real body or a proxy. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Let's see. Ease of transport between the worlds. Does wormholes in another world count? Does it count? What do you all think? Because I think a lot of people say space travel is not isekai transport, but again, if you think about it, you have to think about it in the context of the world, right? Because for us, hello Mew, welcome in. Thank you for the raid. We're currently talking about isekai. For those who are late to lecture, hurry up and find a seat. Don't worry. Well, don't rush. You don't want to fall down the stairs or anything. Go ahead and find a seat. We're about an hour into our lecture. We have another 45 minutes before lecture ends for today. We kind of reviewed our We went over a summary over the 101 class. Now you're in Isekai 201. If you're not in the right place, check your schedule. You may not be in the right place. Welcome in. We discussed, we are discussing right now, Isekai. How the two pillars of Isekai, being transported, that's one, transport, and two, second pillar, in another world. We're discussing those two pillars. And in our first discussion, which was mostly last month, more like, let me see, that's my notes from right now, or what I'm trying to discuss. Last month, we talked about different deltas, or the differences between the worlds in Isekai, right? So, the differences between our type 1, transportation, right, physical movement of the body. Let me show this one. Physical movement of the body between dimensions versus something like a type 4 Isekai, which is just different states of consciousness, like a dream state or a parallel existence in a digital world. Like Sword Art Online, Season 1. Well, I guess all seasons, but in this case, that kind of blends into our conversation about transport. So this was from last, so I came prepared to last class. I didn't really not come prepared, but this one today is more based off of discussion rather than lecture. If the protagonist is transported to a world that has the ability to space travel, but they come from a world without FTL space travel, you would consider it Isekai. Exactly. So, like, how commonplace it is. Or how, again, back to the conversation of conventionality. So let's go back to our topic, our second pillar, which is transport. We're trying to figure out what are the different shades of Isekai transportation, right? And separate from the various shades of deltas of Isekai worlds. Delta meaning difference, right? You're doing great. No, you all are doing great. You all are such great students. Random wormhole is basically the same as magic portal. So Isekai, man-created portal that a scientist made, is more shaky if it's a one-time thing, Isekai. If it's common, it isn't Isekai. It's theoretically possible to manipulate space to squish it in front of you and expand it behind you, so travel faster than light without traveling faster than light speed. Okay. What if we just put these various sort of like aspects, these themes of transportation on a spectrum, and then we kind of go from there. Right? So this, what we have right now on the screen, on the chalkboard, your screen, because you're watching this from a screen, is the repeatability of the vector, right? So at the very top we have no way home, right? Only one way, one direction, like the band. And at the very bottom you have the vector is a two-way vector, right? There's a way home, we can go over there and back. And the repeatability, right? Because of course, obviously, if there's no way home, there's no sense of repeatability, right? Let's see. I feel like, is there a difference between tough to repeat versus easy to repeat, and how frequently it happens? Because I feel like it would happen frequently. I feel like this is barring what the person wants to do, because remember, we've talked about how, like, some people could go home, but they choose not to. But I think instead of focusing on, unless we should be focusing on the MC's desires of returning. Right? Does another world have to be another reality? Define reality. If we consider something like the Astral Express and the the Luofu as to be a possible vector, technically space travel can be considered as a form of transport. Maybe that's the conversation we have about how conventional means are or not. Right? Because in the world of Honkai Star Rail, space travel is very common. In fact, I think space travel is like something that most people experience, right? I was wondering exactly that about stories like Alice Through the Looking Glass. So I think we decided that Alice was a type 4 Isekai in terms of world difference. But in terms of transportation, it's a non-conventional transport. Again, I think it's like... It's sort of like... It's anything that is not accessible to the common populace, whether it's magic or a magic that's not accessible to most people, right? Because we talked about that specific instance with the Devil's Bartimer, where technically in the originator world, everyone can use magic, but only the really, really strong had access to that special power, that magic to transport. And then unconventional science. So if it's, so like let's say space travel is very common for people in the originator world, then it wouldn't be considered isekai transport. Does that make sense? Nodding. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we could put that on this spectrum we have right now. All worlds in the HSR exist in the same plane of existence, and space travel is commonplace, so it's not isekai. Yeah. Thanks for explanation on Honkai Star Rail. Rita well said. Okay, I'm happy to hear that. How about Narnia? Transport through wardrobe, what method does it count? I think in terms of transportation, it is not conventional. I mean, it's magics, right? But remember, there's that repeatability aspect. So maybe that's... Okay. So, we have conventional transport... Okay, hold on. I'm cooking. So let's do UC for conventional, for unconventional, and then C for conventional, okay? So let's assume these are all unconventional transports, okay? So No Way Home, UC. Oh my gosh, it just looks like UU or CC. Unconventional. Unconventional. And unconventional. Can we still agree that this is correct? The spectrum of the top being more isekai and then less isekai. Can we agree on that? We're gonna add more stuff later. Agreed? Okay. This is so fun! Are you all having fun? I'm having so much fun. And you are more than welcome to disagree, because then we can add more stuff, right? We might be getting something wrong. And of course, we're not gonna get a full 100% agree, but if you don't agree, let us know why. I'd love to add more stuff. So now let's add our conventionals. No Way Home, but it was through a conventional means. Right? So let's say it's a science, right? But you somebody talked about this earlier. Like if transport, like space-time travel, I don't know, some sort of like magical wormhole magic is commonly accessible, but you forgot your batteries at home, and the world that you're in now doesn't have that sort of like magics, or not magics, doesn't have that sort of science. Or like your machine broke and now you can't go back. No Way Home, conventional transport. Where does it go? Where does it fall in between? I think it falls in between these two, right? Conventional transport. Can we? Is that agreeable? Does that make sense? Can you repeat that? So now what we're doing is we've kind of separated the conversation into two things about transport. It is how unconventional, conventional the means of transport are, and the repeatability of the transport. And so how I've kind of decided, or how hopefully maybe we can, how we've sort of moved the conversation is we're kind of blending these 2 points together and putting those on a spectrum, depending on how closely they align to those. Would Pikmin be an example of that isekai? I need to call Iku, our resident Pikmin expert. I wonder if it would fall between the other two. The point made then was that it was as simple as running out of gas, if I remember correctly. Okay. So let's do this then. We're gonna have a letter A, letter B. Oh, no. Let's do this. We'll have letter A up here, B, C, D. This is hard, I know, but it's fun, right? I think being able to discuss this with you all is, at least to me, very fun. Where does this belong? Where does No Way Home conventional travel fall? A, B, C, or D. And then if you don't think it falls in any of those, if you think we should, you know, if that doesn't make sense, you can give your input. And remember, towards the top is more isekai, towards the bottom is less isekai. This is so interesting. Okay. I know we need a bigger board, but I don't want to write anything behind me because you all won't be able to see it. We'll take a quick break. I'll take a quick break. Your professor is going to take a quick water break. There you go. Done and done. Adding No Way Home is a big deal regardless because you have to learn how to survive in a new existence. True. True. And remember, difference in world is a different axis, right? If that other world has, I think someone in the comments was talking about like logic, right? How, or laws of nature, how different are the laws of nature? But I think that falls under like, is it a different dimension entirely? Like, do they have magic or not? Isekai can be taken from the POV of the person. In Star Trek, the spacefaring races do not see space travel as unconventional, but the more primitive races would see it as rare and possibly mythical. He says, hey bro, what's the answer? There's no right or wrong answer. That's the beauty of discussing stuff like this, right? You found the anime that you were thinking about. Gargantia on the Vergios planet has the MC crash landed onto Earth via a wormhole of sorts. They simply moved between planets. But remember, we're only talking about the axis of transport, not the axis of world delta. I'll give it another minute or so, and then we'll go ahead and tentatively place it down. Right, exactly. But I've heard about that anime. Is it any good? I might check it out. I've had a couple of friends say they liked it. You know what kind of kid I was in school? There's no right or wrong answer. As long as we're having fun discussing and you're exercising your brain. No Way Home is in reference to Spider-Man? No. So, in terms of, is there no way back home after you get isekai? Great question. You didn't like it personally? It's a good anime, I recommend it. Ooh, so in what ways would you recommend it for me? And for those maybe who didn't really like it, would you not recommend it to me, or you didn't personally like it but you would recommend it to me? I think No Way Home is how SAO Season 1 is in Isekai. It's so unusual for people to be stuck in a game and their bodies on life support for years that it makes the transport unconventional. Yeah, and I think in that one, it was also kind of like a newer technology, right? Even though there were like thousands of people or tens of thousands of people, on the grand scheme of things, if we talked about this last time, right? What is a common number of console sales? Okay, hold on. How many full dive VR MMO? How many full dive VR sold? SAO. Okay, here we go. I think it's 10,000. And bye, thanks for stopping by, the class. This design trapped 10,000 players during the official launch of Sword Art Online. In November 2022, it is the first VR technology that has been mass-produced. So I think we can say that Nerve Gear was very new. Right? In the world of VR, in the world of SAO. In the case of SAO, I think that's a tough to repeat since they were given a difficult way out on day one. I see. Yeah, I think, again, we make the good point of Season 1 SAO is different from Season 2 SAO. Right, because I think they have a new... They develop new technology, right? It becomes a little bit more commonplace. They understand the technology more. I don't think it matters as much. It matters more the fact that no other MMO or VR ever had its players stuck. Even if Nerve Gear wasn't as new, it's a one-time thing. Sure. So you mean it's more like that's more talking about the repeatability of it. Is that what you mean? Because even though, regardless of, you know, whether or not it's commonplace technology, it's that factor. I was gonna say vector. The factor of repeatability is what we're talking about. Is the Nerve Gear mass produced? How many units of the Nerve Gear were sold? We do know that the copy of Sword Art Online, 10,000. It was 10,000 copies of Sword Art Online. So that means there had to have been more. How many units of Nerve Gear were sold? Nerve Gear was discontinued after the incident. It says the Nerve Gear was released in May of 2022 and had several 100,000 units sold by the start of the SAO incident. How many... Okay. Console unit sales. And this is like across the... This is Nerve Gear across the world, right? It wasn't just US? Yeah, I think we are making a distinction for Season 1 of SAO, yes. Yeah, because if you look at even some of the lesser sold units, you at least go into the millions, right? So looking at this list of best selling game consoles, sure, you have like Nintendo Switch at 130 million units sold, but then you look at the lower ones and it's like 1 million, 2 million. It's an even smaller pool when you consider that like 2,000 players die before the death game properly starts. So I feel like it's not really conventional. Because a conventional, like... So yeah, not everyone's gonna be a gamer, right? Let's see. Okay, well I guess we should consider VR. Because I feel like VR is still a very, like, niche... In terms of, like, in terms of the world of gaming, regular consoles are a lot more commonplace than VR. Right? I feel like... Let's see. HTC Vive? Oculus? Oh, here we go. Estimated amount of sales. Oh, here we go. It's the low bar for Oculus Quest is 317,000 to 1 million. I feel like... But is there a better selling VR console? VR headset, here we go. See, look, Quest 2 sold about 20 million. Let's see. VR headset sales. Anyone who has read the finale of Konosuba novel had some reviews. Dive Gear version 2.0 in the later season was made more accessible to everyone. Alicization arc is only close to the first season since the window to get people out during the acceleration phase is difficult to do. Quest 2 was more affordable for everybody to get. Oh. Here we go. VR headsets volume. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, let's see. VR headset sales and market share. But that's in 2023. Okay. Here's a look at VR headset sales from 2017. Oh, but that's overall. I guess it doesn't matter what kind of VR headset, right? It's just like a matter of how many. I feel like... What I'm trying to say is I feel like for something like VR, I feel like it's not very commonplace. The full dive VR MMO. You know what I mean? That Nerve Gear is. I think it's a very, very... At least in the world of Sword Art Online. Because I feel like we can... Aside from all the full dive, you know, pseudosciences, I feel like it's pretty close to our world, right? So we can safely assume that things like console sales would be like similar. Or the presence and frequency and commonplace ability of consoles is similar. So something like Nerve Gear is definitely not as common as something like... I don't know, the Oculus in their world equivalent of the Quest. Right? Anyway, okay, so let me end this poll. Oop. 35% say B, but a good majority of you all, hold on, calculator, I want to make sure I get my math correct. 35% say B, but we can also say that 64% of you say it should be in the top half. And then 27 plus 64, 91% of you believe that it should be in the top 3. So it does seem pretty divided, right? But we can comfortably say that it does exist somewhere in this realm. This major is so contentious. I know. So I think tentatively, we'll go ahead and place it in B because one, that is the biggest minority vote, but it is also smack dab in the middle of that top 3/4 of this spectrum. So I think we can safely say, for now, we can put No Way Home Conventional in the B section. Okay. For now. Right, for now. Conventional. Okay. Let's do Way Home, tough to repeat, but conventional means of transport. Are we gonna have an Isekai field trip and do we need chaperones? That's actually for an upper division. You have to take an upper division version of this class. So once you make it to the upper division courses, then you may be able to do the Isekai study abroad. So you do have to fill out an application if you want to do Isekai study abroad. So you have to fill out, like, you know, what sort of transport you want, how different you want your world to be. Although, unfortunately, our program does not offer No Way Home transport Isekai study abroad. So I'm sorry, if you do want that program, you might want to consider transferring to a different institution. Yeah. That's a master levels course. No, we try to offer, you know, fulfilling and enriching experiences even to our undergrad students. So if you really want to partake in Isekai study abroad, you might want to consider continuing your studies in Isekai. Does that mean we can meet our idol Truck-kun? Maybe, if you sign up for the proper and get accepted into the proper Isekai study abroad program. Does Sony sponsor our class to get nerve gear? Well, we have to get there in terms of technology first. I lived as a student, but then I studied abroad in the Demon King's castle. I'm also a villainess. That has to be a real Isekai. Does anyone know if there's like a student study abroad Isekai? We have to write it. Oh my gosh. Okay, Apollo, I have an idea for a new visual novel. Do you want to be a voice actor? Oh my goodness. I'd imagine the aerospace engineering majors will like this one. Irreversible Isekai to Mars before NASA pulls it off. Oh my goodness. Oh, you would be honored? Okay, I'll think about it. You'd rather be held back a year just so I can have Rita as my teacher again? No! Well, I have been considering signing up to teach upper division Isekai classes. But I don't know. I feel like I don't have the proper credentials. I feel like as someone who's not an Isekai expert, I can only teach the lower division classes. You know what I mean? I'm messing with you. I know. Okay. We need to continue this. We need to start wrapping this up because my brain's gonna be fried if we go over our class time. I will stay a little bit after class if we have any questions. But I guess our homework will be, once we kind of, you know, finish this part of the axis, is leave your comments, your thoughts from today. If you disagree with anything, if you agree with anything, want to add any more detail. And I guess in addition to that, since we'll have our two axes, maybe put the axes together, make that chart, right? If you know more isekais, put together a little chart from the isekais that you know. And maybe we'll have a quick follow-up to this, and we'll go over our charts, and we can kind of decide what's, like, you know, how much of an isekai certain shows are. Rita's the angel who assigns isekai worlds to foreign exchange students. Yes, I am part of the godly summons magic. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now the next one is way home, tough to repeat, but with conventional means. Like science. Let's do it like this. Let me get a different chalk color. We're gonna do it in fourths. So, oh my gosh, that is the same color. Okay. Oh my gosh, why is my thingamabop standing? There we go. Okay. Okay. This section. So, oh my gosh. Wow, this is gonna be tough. I don't know how to do this. So, here is A. Or I guess we can do it the same. So, here and here. Hold on. I know, this is gonna get real confusing. I promise. It'll be okay. This is A. We have to... this is how we're gonna pull it. B is here. Oh, I guess I could just do this. These slots are A. These slots are B. Because how are we gonna do this? Gosh. I guess we'll do more more options in the top. A, B, C, D. I guess we'll do this. How's that? Okay. I know, there's not really much we can do. We only have 4 answers. On the YouTube poll. Where does way home tough to repeat in a conventional way, in a conventional means, fall? A, B, C, oh my gosh, C or D? Yep. I'd attend your TED Talk on Isekai if you make one, oh my gosh. Well, what we can do then, oh my gosh, what we can do then is, if we wrap up today's conversation, I can go and make my chart, and then I can just have a presentation based off of our learnings. You know what I mean? Okay, we'll give it a couple of minutes, and then we have 2 more to place on here. I feel like this can be adapted into a story. You're a sweet angelic teacher, and we're your class assigned to travel and study the mechanics of traveling across worlds. Whoa! Or like it's like you're in a normal class, or like you're at a normal like college or something, and you're about to study abroad, but instead of going to the country you were supposed to go to, you end up in a different world. Like let's say you hop onto the plane. You fall asleep on the plane, and by some magical means, right, godly summons, unknown magics, you wake up and you look out the window, and you're not on Earth anymore. You're not in Kansas anymore. Why do we have 2A? Because there's unfortunately not enough options on YouTube polls. So if we get A, why do we have 2A or 2D? I'm confused. No Way Home have U, C, and C. Oh, so okay. To explain, we're trying to figure out where to place Way Home, tough to repeat, conventional means. UC means unconventional, and C means, so, gosh, let me do this. The means. It's unconventional, which is some of the things we listed here, right? Or conventional, and it's how commonplace or understood that method is. The means are. Rita would be a great sociologist. I don't know about that. How will Isekai knowledge help you get a job IRL? That's a great question, Hideki. It's all about critical thinking and, I don't know, problem solving and being able to ask questions, being able to have intellectual conversation about things, being able to be detail-oriented and nitpick at detail, right? I think that's a wonderful transferable skill. Yeah, no Gundam UC, no. Unfortunately, it does not stand for Universal Century. Oh my goodness, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why does D have 2 of them? Oh, it's because we don't have enough answer choices. Unfortunately, we don't have a fifth option on YouTube poll. So, okay, so we can definitively rule out A. C and B are our common ones. Oh, okay, interesting. Now, how come conventional means is more of an isekai than the unconventional means for way home, tough to repeat? Does that make sense? So why is there suddenly a swap? Because you would think that unconventional would always be more isekai than conventional, but tell me why there is a swap here. Because most of you said, 31% of you said it would be in this section, right? Yeah, explain. Do explain for those who voted C. Yeah. Do tell me why. I'm curious. Or is it that it's just any way home that's tough to repeat? Wonder if the double having 2 of the D's confuse people at the poll. I see. Let's do this then. Since A was our least, I guess, chosen, let's do this then. To remove any sort of confusion. A, B, C, and D. So now we can definitively rule out A from the previous one. Let's do it like this. Here's a new one. New poll. A poll. A, B, C, D. And remember, the question is, where does conventional means of transport, or right? So something that's common to everybody in the originator world, easily accessible to everyone, or most population, conventional, and there is a way home, but it's tough to repeat. And where does that fall on the spectrum of more isekai and less isekai? Is it in this A slot, the B slot, the C slot, or the D slot? And that's what we're deciding. Don't answer C because it's always the right answer. That doesn't always happen. Okay, I see. So I guess it was a confusing poll last time because I think we're getting more C. Okay. I'll give you all a couple of seconds to vote. While I stretch. I used so much brain energy. I'm so hungry. And we have 2 more well, no, just kidding. We have 1 more after this. So, tough to repeat and call common. So the thing is, things that are common aren't, or conventional or unconventional, aren't always tough or easy to repeat. Does that make sense? There's a little bit of a difference. What each letter means, it's where we would place it. Would you place way home, tough to repeat, conventional in A, B, C, or D? Where would you place it? You have to become one of those teachers who eat throughout the lecture. I know, but there's so much talking involved in being like a discussion leader. It's hard to eat. It doesn't make sense. That's okay. No worries. You don't have to, participate in the poll. That's okay. So how conventional? So we discussed this already earlier. So if you were a little late to class, that's okay. No worries. Good question. I'll go ahead and repeat it. What is unconventional transport? We decided if it's not common or well understood. So under Isekai transport, you see we have this list of stuff. Whether it's an unknown magics, so under magics, it's unknown magics, godly summons, death. We said a strong magic that's not accessible to normal magic users, because if the originator world has magic, and it's very common for people to use magic, you can't just say magic is an unconventional form in that context. So in the context of a magical world, strong magics that are not accessible to normal magical users would be considered unconventional. And then you have things like science. Remember, in the context of that world, because some pseudosciences in some worlds are common or conventional, and in other worlds, pseudoscience is not as conventional, common. Can you move to the front of the class? You can't see the board. I know there's so much to write. I know it's tough to fit it all, right? But yes, you're more than welcome to. Oh, and saying thank you so much for the 5 gift. It's for paying forward the tuition for 5 more students. Apollo says thank you for the scholarship. Congratulations! You got a scholarship. Oh my gosh. Wow. Maybe now you can attend, ISEKAI, the upper division ISEKAI class. Thank you for the grant, Sig. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. All right, 52% said C. And then I guess 93% said it would be in this section. So we can place it under C. Okay. Now the pattern is starting to make sense. So I think with that in mind, I think then so way home, tough to repeat. I think can I comfortably say that way home, easy to or easier common to repeat by conventional means is at the bottom and not even considered an isekai. But yes, that makes sense, i.e. a universally understood mode of travel is ludicrously expensive. Rich people isekai! Oh my gosh. Crazy. The politics of isekai transport. Agreed with you on that, yes? Oh my goodness! So then that means we can go to, as a wrap-up. This is so exciting! Wow, we got so much done. I feel like we were pretty much there in the last class, but we were kind of, our brains were kind of jumbled. You know what I mean? Our brains were so jumbled. Let me go ahead and draft up a quick little chart. No Way Home, transported by unconventional means. Way Home, No Way Home, transported by conventional means, right? And then it's Way Home, tough to repeat. That's a lot. This is a long axis. Way Home, tough to repeat, transported by unconventional means. Let's see. Okay, just making sure there wasn't any other comments I missed from the class while I draft up this thingamabob. Actually, I can just show you. Okay. Means. Let's just delete these. I just was randomly typing. Tough to repeat, transported by unconventional means, and then we'll insert a new row. Ooh, not the appendix. We don't need that. Insert row below. Boop. By conventional means. Oopsie doopsie. Oopsie doopsie. Okay. Insert row below. Define conventional. That's what we were doing this entire time. Way home. Easy to repeat. Or common repeating. Transported by unconventional means. Or, hold on. Yeah, unconventional. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Oops, I keep going back to the appendix slide. That's not what I want to do. Yoop. Yoop. And boop. Uh-oh. I'm just trying to even these out a little bit. Okay. And then, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Insert row below. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Okay. 50%. Okay, wow. I think we could, I think you see what I think you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? There we go. You see what I mean? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Way home. I don't know where. Okay, easy to repeat. And then I think that's it. Because the bottom one doesn't count. Delete row. Yeah. Woohoo! Okay, hold on. Let me make it look nice. And fit. What do you think? Yes or no? I love these newfangled smartboards. Hold on, let me calibrate it. Calibrate the smartboard. Ink. 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 There we go. Looks nice. Oh yeah! Woohoo! Because I'm... Oh my gosh. There you go. Oh, 3 of the same. Oopsie daisy. I accidentally forgot to update them. No way home is very conventional means. Okay, way home. To repeat. Oh no, they're the same. Unconventional means. Hold on. Let me do this just to make it easier. Let's do unconventional is in red. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to do. Oopsie daisy. Oh my goodness. I can't take it anymore. There you go. Does that help? I hope it helps. There we go. And then conventional means will be green. It helps? Okay, good. Yippee! Okay. And there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Should we do a graphic info later? Yeah! What do you all want to use for the hashtag? First of all, can we do a quick round of applause for all the amazing work that my students did today? Pat yourself on the back. Round of applause. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I can't read that. Yippee! RK Isekai. Oh, I like that. Get Isekai. Oh my gosh. I like maybe something that has like archangels in it or RK or something, just so like someone doesn't accidentally use get Isekai or something. Maybe RK Isekai sounds good. Hashtag RK Isekai. How's that? Is that good? Hashtag RK Isekai? If you want to put yours together, RK Another World. Wait! Stop, that's perfect. Okay, stop. Wait, we changed it. We changed it. RK Another... Oh my gosh. Ah! Go back! No, my secret projects! Don't look. You almost saw my projects! Oh, all my secret projects. Just kidding. It doesn't have my secret projects. I'm not on that page. I know. You saw a letter. Oh my goodness. Let's see. RK... Wait, hold on. No, RK Another World. There we go. Oh no, spoilers! No, it didn't load fast enough. So, you didn't see any spoilerinos. But anyway, if you want to make your own little thingamabob, go ahead and use hashtag RK Another World and put all of your... You don't have to use this chart or this table. You can make your own nicer graphic. But for any isekai that you're familiar with, go ahead and put them down where you think they belong. And then I'll go ahead and collate all of them. And I'll make a big definitive isekai chart. When you have the time, of course. You don't have to, of course. Not a requirement. But I'd love to see what you all think. But thank you again so much for being such amazing and thoughtful students. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for now. I am getting kind of hungry. I think using all this brain power made me very hungry. But we're gonna stay after. We're gonna stay after class just for a few minutes. Do some super chat reading. Maybe some questions that you may have, anything you're confused on, maybe topics you want to think about next time. I'd be more than happy to discuss those. Thank you for being such an angelic professor. Thank you all for being such angelic students. You all have been so fantastic. But let's go ahead and wrap up class for today. You are dismissed. The bell doesn't dismiss you. I do, but it's also exactly 2 hours. So thank you so much for another fantastic lecture, and I'll see you all next time. I guess as a spoilerino for next week, I think next week I do have a lecture. Yes, so next week's lecture, as part of the lecture series, is my content creator's guide to project management. Oh, I guess it's goal-based content creation. Yeah. So if you're still confused, that's okay. If you have any questions, you're more than... Or you can go back and review some, or if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Yeah. Let me know. Let's see. But yeah, next week I'm going to be doing a goal-driven project management lecture next week. So be sure to check that out if you are interested. But thank you so much for coming to class, and it's now after class time. So you're more than welcome to head to your next class, or go to work, or take a nap if your brain is tired. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go ahead and get my super chat reader while I'm at it. There we go. You sure are a gold star teacher. Thank you. What is the blank spot do? What do we fill in? A story? Yes, story, an anime, video game. Whatever works. Whatever you are familiar with. And you don't have to. You don't have to do it. Thank you for the stream lesson. It's more of a discussion, I feel, but you all had such very interesting things to share. So, thank you all. I feel like I learned a lot. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Justin, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see. Let me get my super chat reader. Pew pew pew. Pew pew pew. Oh, there it is. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, it's kind of small, isn't it? Let's adjust it just a little bit. Is that a little better? Maybe like this. Okay. There we go. Let's see here. John, thank you so much for celebrating your 1 month anniversary as idol coach. Isekai round 2. What did you all think? Was it a little tougher to follow along than last time? Last time I had more of like a lecture, I guess, but today was more of like a discussion. I feel there was I brought a lot of stuff to the table last time, but this time around, I invited you all to do a lot more discussion than last time, I think. Hyper Epsilon, thank you so much for celebrating your 13 months as idol coach. Isekai tuition! Don't spend it all on your starting equipment. True. You can't do that. You gotta invest. Doom, thank you so much for the 3 months as idol coach. Made it for Isekai 201. What did you all think? Please leave a review if you think I was a good professor. Last time is harder, but this time need prior knowledge. Yeah, well, it is a 201 class. It's not a beginner class, so, you either had to come prepared or, not come prepared, but have prior knowledge. That's why it's important if you didn't make it to the last class. It's important to watch the lecture recordings. Oh my goodness. Joe Star, welcome again backstage as idol coach. Hope you've been having lots of fun. Arton, thank you so much for celebrating 19 months as idol coach. Glad to have another tangent made into a stream. Hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you very much. I am a little hungry, though. Do you all have any ideas for what I could eat for dinner? I don't know what to get. I have some leftover pizza, so maybe I'll just eat that. Just found out Rita was a Fry player. Oh my goodness. I'm excited to find out. I don't know. I think by halftime it was Team Schiffer was ahead. by a little bit. I can't remember. Pizza from another world! Isekai pizza. What is Isekai pizza? Carl, thank you so much for celebrating 20 months as Idol Manager. Fry supremacy! I'm not gonna say anything because I'm biased, because I'm Team Fry, but... yes. Wave Master, thank you so much for celebrating 20 months as Idol Coach! Will this be on the test? No test! But... if you want to make it to the Isekai Study Abroad program, you do have to have a good history of your Isekai studies, of course. Let's see. What's an Isekai themed food? What is Isekai themed food? It's odd because everyone usually teams up against Fry. Maybe it's more of like an underdog thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sig, thank you so much for the 10 gifted scholarships to the Isekai University. Chunky, thank you so much for the dono. Hello, Rita. I'm gonna be vodgang as I'm currently celebrating your birthday. Happy birthday, Chunky. Hope you have lots of fun with your family. Be sure to give the Archangel some hugs and chews. Also to Rin and then to. Can't wait to see the Isekai results. Me too. I'm really excited to see how everyone's charts turn out. And I'm excited to collate them. Saying thank you for another 5 gifted scholarships. Very much appreciated. The final test got Isekai. It did. Oh my goodness. Envy, thank you so much for the dono. Rita's been discussing Isekai so closely with us, this lecture immediately turned into a round table. My gosh, this is getting a little parasocial. No, I don't think so. I think there are plenty of the creative and constructive online discussion that doesn't really... I feel like discussion, like intellectual discussion online has existed for a long time in like a non... I don't know how you mean by parasocial. Do let me know what you mean. Well, I know what parasocial means, but I guess in this context, what makes you feel like it is a little parasocial? Very interesting. Justin, thank you so much for the gifted scholarship. Envy, thank you so much for celebrating your 7 months as Idol Coach. Senpauka. Gotcha, I super chat. Well, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Demon Warrior, thank you so much for the dono. Thank you for the Isekai fun. It feels like we're always having fun and learn something new with you. Aw, see? Aw, that's precisely why I love doing stuff like this. Is because I also, you all know I love learning and growing and being better at things and not being better than other people, but getting better at things and improving and learning new things and being a beginner at something again. I'm glad you all are having fun with that same experience together. Yeah. I was making a little quip. Something VTubers speaking with chat so often is being a little parasocial. I see. Quip flash. Good quip. But, yeah. Would you then consider, doing an online university parasocial? I don't know, just going off of your quip. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Sig, thank you for the apple for the teacher. I know, if you think about it that way, that'd be kind of funny. I will enter a parasocial relationship with my professors. Oh my goodness. Depends on the teacher. Oh, I guess so. Saying thank you so much for celebrating 20 months as Idol producer. Ooh, great question. Does PRISM Gen 7 count as Isekai into PRISM? Ooh, I'm gonna actually turn that over to you all since you all are, filling out the charts. What do you think? Yeah, add that to your list of animes and games and books. I want to see where you put it. Because there's a whole table. So yes, Envy says yes, but where on the table? You all let me know. Oh my gosh, but I am getting rather hungry. I didn't realize how much brain power I was using. So let me go ahead and find a raid target for today. Huge shout out to today's bread heist noodles. Good noodles. We have... Oh, I thought I had it somewhere. Where is it? I guess we're not having a good noodle board today. I guess I didn't have it prepared. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. You all are good noodles today. I know, crazy. But I think we had a really good discussion today. So you all are today's good noodles for the day. Okay, let's see. Oh, we have 2 Prism streams. So let's see. Ami's doing idol training bi-weekly karaoke, vintage weeb songs. And Shiki. Oh, but Shiki just started. Maybe we should raid Shiki since she just got started. Bramble the Mountain King. Never heard of that. Sure, why not? So if you want to do some singing, please join Ami. If you want to do some... You can play Bramble. If you want to watch Shiki play Bramble. Yeah, you can go there. But I'll go ahead and raid into Shiki since she just started. Get some folks in there. You know what I mean? Let's see. I'm the good noodle. No. You are the good noodle. All right. I'm gonna go... Yeah, what was it? Miss Dr. Professor Rita's gonna go grab some dinner. And then I'll go ahead and show you all my schedule as well. Oh my gosh, let me make sure that my schedule is up. My new schedule. I don't know if I have it confirmed yet, so apologies if there's any changes. But this is tentatively what I have my schedule set to. Yep. Okay. As always, I am the idol to give you the wings to fly. Cyber Angel Professor Rita Kamishiro at your service. Bye. What am I planning for dinner? That's a great question. I actually don't know. I think I'm gonna go to my fridge and see what no, I think I decided I was gonna do my pizza leftovers. Yep, pepperoni pizza. But today was really fun. I feel like I really worked out my brain. So thank you all so much for such a, thoughtful and exciting conversation. And I'll see you all next week for my project management. Project management lecture. Yes. I feel so fancy calling it a lecture. Alright. You all take care. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks for stopping by class. Bye!